Shana Tova. Welcome to our Anshe Torah virtual Rosh Hashanah service. I always begin my remarks by looking out at the congregation and acknowledging the many members of extended families who have been reunited with each other. So many of us are yearning for those connections, terribly saddened by the loneliness that has invaded our lives, especially on this first day of Rosh Hashanah. Please know that although I cannot see you, I extend my warmest regards and pray you are well, safe, and secure, and ready to make this new year of 5781 meaningful and inspirational, in spite of the challenges we must overcome. You know this story very well. Adam and Eve were banished from the Garden of Eden. For years, they struggled to make a living, raising their children, fending for themselves. Finally, their children were grown, the dog had died, the mortgage was paid, and they decided to travel. Before long, they arrived at the Garden of Eden. A deep, resonant voice welcomed them, bellowing, "Adam and Eve, it's so nice to see you. You are invited to enter, if you wish." Looking at one another, they couldn't remember. What was paradise like? God noticed their hesitation and instructed them. The garden is paradise. In the garden, there's no work, no struggle, no toil, no pain, no suffering. Day after day, life goes on, uneventful, no surprises. Everything is perfectly controlled. It is an endless life of ease. Eve then turned to Adam and said, "Our lives together have been all about the challenges we've met, the successes we've achieved, and the failures we've overcome. It has been crises we have endured without running away or hiding from them. They've made us the humans we are today." Then it was Adam's turn, who responded, "It sounds like a nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there." The two turned their backs on paradise, and as they departed, they heard the deep, rich voice again say, "Good choice." A special thank you to Rabbi Ed Feinstein for this wonderful adaptation of the Garden of Eden story. So I ask you, who wouldn't like a taste of that paradise right now? We've been through so much. The landscape that has defined our lives has been changed forever. The last 6 months seem like an eternity. When will it end? Speaking to you via a technology platform on the holiest day of our Jewish year is simply surreal. Our beautiful sanctuary sits empty today, not because some tyrants have threatened us and we're seeking shelter. An invisible virus has already killed nearly 1 million people across God's world. We're approaching 200,000 deaths in our country. Loved ones have been buried without family members present. Baby namings have been relegated to Zoom. B'nai mitzvah are limited to 10 to 20 people. Weddings have been rescheduled again and again. Homes have become multi-purpose enterprises. We've become exhausted, impatient, angry, and violent with each other. Our streets have become war zones. Businesses have been destroyed. Policemen have been vilified, accurately or not. Politics has entered into every element of our lives. We've had to make so many difficult choices Do we send our children to school? How will they be affected if they stay home or if they attend? Do we still need to wear gloves? Remember God's final response to Adam and Eve? It was good choice, suggesting life is so much more than paradise. That is the message of Judaism, beginning with the book of Genesis and continuing to this very day. Adam had to eat of the forbidden fruit. He and Eve had to be banished from paradise. They had to discover themselves. They had to explore the world and uncover nuances that defined life with its secrets and humor. It was all part of God's plan. You and I are part of that plan too. What role are we going to play? Life is realizing what we are made of when the chips fall. Life is rising to the challenge when we want to crawl into bed and wake up on the other side of the hurdle. When life is embraced with all of its conflicts and challenges, we discover our true selves, our strengths and weaknesses, the reservoirs of insight and blessing that we have to offer the world. There's no such thing as life without risk. The trials and tribulations of life teach us the subtleties of living. They refine us, strengthen us, and humble us, all at the same time. It was Viktor Frankl who said, "Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." God's world is blemished today. It's tarnished. It leaves many of us scared, uncertain, and some even paralyzed. How do we live when we carry so much fear with us every day? Edwin Markham once said, "He drew a circle that shut me out, heroic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle and took him in." We have redrawn that proverbial circle and taken so many in. The pleas for help have been heard by many, yet so many others remain isolated, alone, fearful of adventure, uncertain, unsure, and unable to adapt to this new world. I want to share with you a little of what I have seen. I believe our world has experienced a massive demonstration of tshuva, of returning to a set of values that has served humanity so very well for so many years. It includes the values of family, real, reliable friends, religion, nature, health, and society itself. I have seen so many reassess their value system. At this time of year, we Jews call that cheshbon hanefesh. Husbands and wives have rediscovered the spark that ignited something exquisite between them. They reclaimed a treasure found in their own backyard. They turned toward one another and found friendship, excitement, and love. Regrettably, it hasn't worked for everyone, as the constraints of our world have amplified problematic relationships. But for many, the past 6 months have served to reawaken a spark of life, a return to wonder and amazement. Real, reliable friends became so very important as they chose to spend time with us. We felt cared for, even if it was only for a few minutes. Little is more debilitating than loneliness. Friends are an exceptional tonic. Although virtual, we provided something that only we could offer. It was our virtual presence, our blessing, our turning toward those who needed our presence. COVID-19's impact on religious organizations has been ubiquitous. At times like this, so many turn to religion. Zoom isn't for everyone, yet it has provided a link for so very many. Knowing that we could rely on those with whom we share fundamental values has simply been a lifeline for many. Anshe Torah has been the beneficiary as well, with the strong, sustained support of our religious services daily as well as on Shabbat and Chagim. We have been compelled to experience the pain of loss as well as the wonder of celebration without our family at our side, and it's been gut-wrenching. Yet I cannot begin to describe the poignancy shared when family members from across the world have gathered for these special moments. They served as reunions, again, family turning to each other. Some of us have put on a few extra pounds during the course of this pandemic, while others have lost a significant amount of weight. Our sidewalks are filled with people walking in Dallas, Texas, families with one another, children riding bicycles, smiles in spite of the conditions, couples jogging, friends walking, maintaining social distancing while exercising. You and I, growing, changing, evolving, becoming. Tshuva in practice. We may have actually rediscovered the concept of civic responsibility, our social contract with one another. We do need everyone to wear a mask. Everyone must be treated equally. Injustice must be abolished. Integrity and deference can be the hallmarks of our country and the world. Israel can be accepted. The world is turning. Anti-Semites are not disappearing, but they're being confronted. Kol Yisrael arevim ze bazeh. We are all responsible for each other. Our rabbis teach us. Angela Santomero writes in her book, Radical Kindness, kindness is seeing with our heart. That is how we must observe our world today, with leniency, warmth, and love. With a seeing heart, we must care for those who remain lonely and address our homebound elderly, lacking interpersonal relationships and scared to leave home. With a seeing heart, we must respond to parents who are overwhelmed, to children who are frightened and wondering when this will all end. President John Fitzgerald Kennedy called upon all of us with his memorable words, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." Rosh Hashanah beckons each of us to continue our tshuva, to reach higher, to listen more attentively, to see more clearly, to respond with more graciousness, generosity, and love. Let us overcome the paralysis that has invaded our political world and seeped into our homes. Let us continue to be creative as we reach out and touch virtually those who need our presence, who would appreciate our calls, who have helped us build this amazing community at Anshe Torah. May each of us respond to the set of challenges facing our world today at Anshe Torah, in Dallas, Texas, in Austin, in Washington, D.C., as well as in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. We can make this an unparalleled year of greatness if we continue to hear the still small voice of God in our ear, saying, yes, you can. Yes, you can turn. Yes, we each can do tshuva and make 5781 a year of promise. Shana Tova Tikatevu, may each and every one be inscribed in the book of blessing, life, and sustenance. Together we say, Ken Yehi Ratzon.